Hi everyone, welcome to Bawo's Kitchen Journal. My name is B. On today's Kitchen Journal, we'll be making shakshuka, which is basically eggs that have been poached in tomato sauce. And right now, I just have my oil on medium to low heat. I prefer low heat. Once the oil is ready, I'm going to add in my chopped onion, and I will let that saute for about 2 minutes. You could use any color of onion that you have access to. It could be white, it could be purple, it could be yellow. I have yellow onion. That's what I'm sauteing right now. So it doesn't really matter. Whatever you have, just chop it up there and let that saute. And you want to also stir that intermediately so it doesn't burn. It's quite important that it doesn't get brown or get burnt. Now that my oil is ready, I'm going to add in my spice blends. So for spices, what I have Cajun, I have ground coriander, paprika, and Harissa spice mix. So for the Cajun, paprika, ground coriander, I'll be adding 1 teaspoon each. And for the Harissa spice mix or spice blend, I would be adding 1.5 tablespoon. I will add all those in there and stir it in. That way they can extract all their flavors into the sauce that we are making. If you don't have the Cajun, paprika, ground coriander, and Harissa spice mix, that's all right. You could substitute it with crushed red pepper, garlic powder, ginger powder, thyme, curry. If you want a little bit of spice, then you could add Cayenne pepper. So for the crushed red pepper, ginger powder, garlic, thyme, and curry, you could add about 1 teaspoon each. And for the cayenne pepper is a little bit spicy, so you could use about half teaspoon to 1 teaspoon, depending on how much spice that you could handle. For the ones I'm adding in the Cajun, paprika, coriander, and harissa, I'll just add all those in and stir it. It's quite important that it doesn't burn, so stirring it intermediately is best. After about a minute or so, I am going to add my uh, diced tomatoes. So for tomatoes, I have about 6 medium-sized tomatoes there. I've chopped those up there, and I'm adding them and stirring it intermediately so it's all properly coated with the spice and the onion that we already have in the pot. Okay, so now I am adding my chopped red bell pepper. If you're using multicolored peppers like orange, yellow, green, then I would suggest you hold up a little bit because we want to retain some of those bright colors from the other colors. But if you're using red, or if there is red included in the pepper you're using, then you would add it at this point and stir it. If there is no red in the pepper that you're using, that's also fine. Just add in the chopped tomato and let that saute for about 10 to 20 minutes, stirring it intermediately so it doesn't burn. Okay, now we're back after about 15 to 20 minutes. We're just stirring it one more time, and as I'm stirring it, I'm going to gently use my spatula to mash it down to crush the tomato. That way it breaks down a little bit faster. You don't want it to be all grinded up, just mash it down just a little bit. Now I'm going to add my garlic. So the garlic I'm using is confit garlic. So it basically means that the garlic has been poached in oil. You don't have to use this type of garlic. You could just use fresh garlic. I'm only using this because that's what I have available in the house. I don't have any fresh garlic. So if you're using fresh garlic, about 2 to 3 is good, and you can chop it up. You can grind it, or you could mince it. Just add it in there at this point and stir it. Right now I'm just testing it to make sure I have all the spices I need. I haven't added any seasoning. I'm just testing it to just make sure that the first set of spice that I put in there is good. Okay, we just cover that and allow that to saute for a few more minutes, about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so now we are back. Okay, so I am adding my habanero pepper. The one I'm using is already pre-blended and frozen. I'm only using that again because that's what I have available. If you're using the fresh one, you could use about 1 to 3 depending on how much spicy you could handle. I would suggest though that if you don't like spicy food, then it's best to take out the seed from the habanero pepper. So habanero, Scotch bonnet, rodo, they are all the same thing. Just chop it in and add it in there. And now I am adding in my colored pepper, the yellow and the orange bell pepper, and stirring it in because we want to retain some of the colors. That's why we didn't add it at the same time we added the red bell pepper. So right now I just have in my yellow and orange bell pepper, and now I would be adding in my cooked sausages and cooked bacon, and I would stir that in. It is quite important that if you're using the bacon and the sausages, that you don't add it in raw. You want to pre-cook it first before adding it. Cook it and dice it, then add it up there. And you don't have to use either bacon or sausage. You could skip that entirely. I'm only adding that in there because I want the meal to be as rich as I can get it without overpowering the overall taste of the shakshuka. So skipping it is an option, or just using maybe only bacon or only sausage. But regardless of whatever you pick, make sure that you cook it first separately before you add it in and chop it. Now I just added the rest of my bell pepper and I'm adding in my spring onion. I would be using a total of 6 spring onion, but right now I'm only using 4 chopped ones. So I will keep the other 2 for garnishing later. I will cover that up and let that saute again for about 5 to 7 minutes, stirring it intermediately so it doesn't burn. Okay, we're just stirring, and now we are going to add in our seasoning. So I'm just adding in some salt. So I'm adding salt and seasoning cube. You could skip the seasoning cube if it's not something that you're familiar with, or if it's not something you're comfortable with using. But you can get it from either ethnicity stores, or you could get it from your grocery stores as well. I think they call it in the grocery store. There is a different type than the one that we use mostly in African cooking. They call it either stock cube or chicken stock powder or bunion, and it also comes in powder form as well. If you're using the powder, about 1 teaspoon is good. You just add it in and stir it, let that cook again for a couple of minutes. We are back. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the sauce in two. That's because we can't finish the everything that we have in the pot in one sitting. We're going to freeze one part and we'll come back to it on a different day and just poach our egg in once we are ready to eat it. So if you guys, or if you can't finish everything in one sitting, then this is the best time to split it and freeze it. So when you freeze it, it can keep for up to a week, or if you're leaving it in the fridge, about 3 days is good. So now I just have it halved, and now I am going to add in my eggs. So this is where the name comes from, the shakshuka. We're just going to break in our eggs. So add those in, and you have to be careful so that you don't add in any yolk. You don't add in any shell. You want the eggs and the whites and the yolk in there. So break it in one at a time, and you want to space it out as much as you can. You don't want it to be too crowded, and you want the eggs to be able to thoroughly cook. Usually though, it is best that you break your eggs separately in a bowl, one at a time, just like the video up there to the top right. You want to break it in one at a time in a bowl, and once you find out that the egg is good, before you transfer it into the pot of the shakshuka, by so doing, you are not breaking in a bad egg directly into your food, so you don't spoil the whole pot of food. So breaking it in a bowl first, make sure the egg is good, you add it in, and you want to do that one at a time. You check, you break, you add, you break, you add, one at a time, spacing it out. So for the eggs, if you want your yolk to be running, I would suggest you cook it for about between between 3 minutes to 4 minutes, or 4.5 minutes. If you want the yolk to be more set or more firm, then you want to cook it for a little bit longer, for about 4 minutes up to 8 minutes. Right now, I still want mine to be cooked. I still want the yolk to be a little bit more firm. So I'll cook it again for another couple of minutes. And now we are back. We're just going to garnish it with the 2 spring onion that we kept aside. Just chop it up and sprinkle it on top. And basically the shakshuka is ready at this point, and you can eat this with flat bread. You can eat it with regular bread, you can eat it by itself, you can eat it with white rice. It goes with anything. It's so delicious and so yummy. And that is all that we have from Bawo's Kitchen Journal for today. All the ingredients used will be listed in the description section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment in the comment section for me. Thank you. Until next time on Bawo's Kitchen Journal, with all my love, B. Thank you.